Manager said if you're on time, you're late, and so I started showing up 30 minutes early and charging them for it by using Madras Muses. A few years ago, I worked at a company where our manager was obsessed /punctuality. She had constantly say, if you were on time, you're late. She wanted everyone there at least 15 minutes early and unpaid. Of course, I would shame people who showed up just on time. I asked once if we had be paid for those extra 15 minutes, and she laughed like I told a joke. So I decided to comply. Maliciously. I started arriving 30 minutes early every day, clocking in exactly when I arrived. When she confronted me after it, I told her I was just trying to be really prepared. You always say 15 minutes early is the bare minimum, right? She tried to argue, but since I was hourly and our system logged every minute, payroll started paying me for all that early time. After a month, upper management noticed and asked her why overtime had increased for her team. She backtracked so fast. Suddenly on time was fine again. Supervisor told me to stop reminding him about overdue tasks, so I stopped and he missed a deadline. I work as a project coordinator. Basically, I just keep track of what everyone is supposed to be doing and make sure nothing falls through the cracks. My supervisor, we call him James, is fine at pretending he is on top of stuff, but the dude forgets everything unless someone is reminding him. So I usually give him heads up when things are due. Like last week, I said, hey, just a reminder, that report is due Friday. He looks at me and goes, I don't need to be babysat, I know what is on my list. Alright then, you got it. So I keep my mouth shut. No reminders, no check-ins. I let him be the expert. Friday comes, nothing. Monday morning, he is suddenly in panic mode because the director is asking where the hell the report is. He turns to me like, why didn't you remind me? I just said, you told me not to. Now he thanks me every time I send a reminder, lol. I guess we'll be back to babysitting, but at least he asked nicely. I should cancel on my end? No problem. I booked accommodation 2 months in advance for St. Patrick's weekend in Dublin. It was a fairly ancient B&B, but for $115 it was a place to sleep and cheapest option for the busiest weekend of the year in Dublin. It was one double bed for me and a buddy to share. It was pay on arrival. 3 weeks before the stay, the accommodation manager messaged me on the app I booked the stay on, telling me there is a problem, I can no longer stay, and to cancel on my side immediately. No apology, let alone help offered by them. This was followed by multiple phone calls daily, along with text messages in a harassing nature saying I need to cancel now so I can get my money back. Once again, it was pay on arrival. I didn't answer the calls or messages telling me to cancel. Something fell off, so I checked the listing for the night I was supposed to stay, and it just so happens the accommodation had been listed again for double the price. Likely the manager realized St. Patrick's weekend was a cash grab. Maybe not immediately, but at the property manager's request, I simply rang booking.com and told them I'd like to cancel my booking. The customer service rep asked why I was cancelling. I explained in detail all the above to her, and things took an unexpected turn for the property manager. Ultimately, the rep agreed the property was acting in an unfair manner, and the solution was that booking.com would find me accommodation within Buncombe. Originally, they tried to get me to stay outside of the city, but I wasn't having it of where I intended to stay. The original property would then be liable to cover any difference in cost. Here is the good part: finding accommodation 3 weeks before St. Patrick's Day in Dublin is about as difficult as trying to light a fire with flint and steel in the rain, near impossible. Everything within a 1-com range was booked out except for a well-known 4-star hotel. The room alone cost $350 per night and had 2 double beds, much bigger room and in a nicer location. The customer rep had to get it cleared by her team lead, so I just sat on hold doing chores for 25 minutes. Eventually they came back and said it was all signed off on and they'll send me a special link. What a treat! I gladly accepted their compromise. This in turn meant the property owner that tried to force me to cancel on my end was now ended at $235, and we got a massive upgrade for the same price we originally had. I had to pay the $350 upfront and had to keep receipts and show proof of payment to the booking partner after our stay, but got my refund of $235 the following week. TLDR, property demanded I cancel my booking on my end. They ended up having to pay an extra $235 and I got a free upgrade. You want me to be on time? Okay, down to the minute. The timekeeping system at my job runs on a 15-minute increment schedule. Basically, if you clock in during the first 7 minutes of the increment, it rounds you backward to the start of that segment. If you re in the last 7 minutes, it rounds you forward to the end of the segment. Example, you clock out at 4:52. Congrats, the system says you left at 4:45. Now, if you clock in and out multiple times a day like for lunch, that is 4 punches and potentially up to 28 minutes lost or gained depending on where you land in those increments. Shortly after I started, I began getting flooded with emails about being short a few minutes on my timesheet and was told I had to submit PTO even though I worked full 8-hour days, sometimes more. It didn't even matter that I was physically at work. If the system said I was short, I had to burn time off. So I started paying attention. Really close attention. Here's the twist. My employer doesn't pay overtime in cash, but they do give you 1.5x time off if you earn it. So 1 hour of OT equals 1.5 hours of PTO. With some strategic clocking in and out always landing on the helpful side of the 50-minute window, I've gotten good at squeezing out those 28 minutes extra a day. That adds up to 140 minutes, 2 hours, 20 minutes of overtime a week, which, when converted at 1.5x, becomes 3.5 hours of PTO every week. All for doing exactly what they asked, watching the clock very closely. Thanks for the free time off. Take the chairs away from our work area. We're gonna fuck this place up. I work for a major US airline for a long time and at several different airports. There's an area behind the baggage counter where the bags get sorted for their respective flights after they've been checked. We're on our feet most of the time, but we each have chairs at our workstations so we can sit and rest for a minute when there's a lull in bags coming down. Every few years there'll be a hot shit new manager who's gonna turn this airport around and make it the best performing one in the system, and they all seem to have the same idea: take away the chairs so the agents are always standing at the belts. Now, the agents in this area are generally on the senior side as it's indoors and out of the elements. We've done the job for a while, we know how to do the job efficiently, and we really do our best to avoid fuck-ups, but as long as human error is a factor, there will always be some. Taking our chairs does nothing but piss us off. Their bullshit excuse usually is framing it as a safety issue, a tripping hazard. So that's where we start. Smaller or oddly shaped bags get sent down in a plastic tub so they don't jam the belt. Maybe you've seen them. We take them off the belt and stack them up on the ground for someone to come by and collect. Not anymore. We let them pile up on the belt, making it a giant pain in the ass for the poor bastard collecting them. They're bitching constantly to the manager. We say, sorry boss, they're a tripping hazard on the ground. Next, we start following the rules. Our employee handbook lays out very clearly what the company's expectations for us are in our job duties. We are only expected to pull 1 bag per minute and take bags out no later than 20 minutes before the flight departs. Maybe you've guessed already, but those expectations are nowhere near good enough to actually complete these tasks, so by the company's own rules, we were already going well beyond what was expected of us. We start giving them the bare minimum, 1 bag per minute, 20 minutes prior. Manager was pissed. He and the supervisors were throwing bags and us being unionized. We documented and grieved every single time it happened, and the company a few days later had to pay out several thousand to agents for covered work. Delays across the board, 1,500 bags missed that day. The next morning the chairs were back in their spots and we continued as normal, and afterwards no one would give that manager the time of day. A lot of passengers got fucked over that day, but we were working exactly to the rules our company had given us, so you can blame the airline and not the agents. The handbook was changed after a while, but only extending it to 35 minutes prior instead of 20. It's still 1 bag per minute last I looked. I was lucky enough to be a part of 3 of these events over the years, but this was the most satisfying.